A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the news tonight. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories from India and across the world. Of course, starting the headlines with that landmark judgment for freedom of speech. Supreme Court strikes down Section 66A of the IT Act as unconstitutional, says language used in the section is vague and nebulous, violates freedom of speech and expression. Activists, victims and even political parties welcome the ruling. Congress admits UPA regime law was poorly drafted and vulnerable to misuse. Two-day border talks between India and China conclude in Delhi. Both sides agree to maintain peace while working on resolving boundary disputes. A French aircraft with 150 people on board crashes in the Alps. Initial reports suggest loss of radar of the Germanwings Airbus 320 flight. And in the World Cup, New Zealand enter the finals after a nail-biting victory over South Africa. Will now meet either India or Australia. Our top story. In a landmark judgment, the Supreme Court struck down the contentious Section 66A of the Information Technology Act. The section was seen as a major infringement of the freedom of speech online because it allowed for arrests of people posting offensive content. The ambiguity in the law led to the misuse of many political parties arresting people for flimsy comments. Here's what the Apex Court said today.
Upholding the citizens' fundamental right of speech and expression, the Supreme Court scrapped the provision in cyber law that gave authorities powers to jail people for offensive online posts. The law was challenged first by a law student in 2012 after two young women were arrested in Mumbai for criticizing the total shutdown in the city after the death of Bal Thackeray. The support group later expanded to include activists, writers, bloggers and rights groups.
सब लोग इंटरनेट इस्तेमाल करते हैं तो ये सबको अफेक्ट करता है और आई थिंक ये बहुत ही खुश दिन है फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच और एक्सप्रेशन हम सब के लिए.
Victims who suffered under the application of the provision welcomed the verdict, terming it a historic moment.
फ्री स्पीच की इस देश में सबसे बड़ी जीत है क्योंकि बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ है कि बहस बनी है, डिस्कशंस हुए हैं, डिबेट्स हुए हैं, टीवी तक पहुंची है, अखबारों तक पहुंची है, पर वो मुकाम तक पहली बार पहुंची है.
This is the victory of the common people by this verdict.
जी मैं इसके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा खुश हूँ. हमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट का आभारियों की हटा दी गई है. इससे मेरे दिमागी टेंशन बहुत थी और मैं बहुत ज़्यादा परेशान था.
The government maintained that it was not in favor of curbing dissent on social media.
Government led by Shri Narendra Modi ji fully supports freedom of speech and expression on social media.
The contentious provision in the IT Act was introduced by the UPA regime in the year 2008. The Congress admitted that it was poorly drafted and vulnerable to misuse. The party joined other parties in welcoming the verdict. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, while most political parties welcomed the verdict, there were a few like the Shiv Sena and JDU who criticized it. Here are the reactions.
What the Supreme Court judgment has come is certainly a welcome step. What was being misused under Section 66A, that certainly was being used by certain political parties for their own political gains.
The Supreme Court has arrived at an appropriate decision. 66A was the antithesis of the freedom of speech and expression guaranteed by Article 19. It put too much of powers in the hands of law enforcement agencies, and it was being used in the most knee-jerk manner to persecute conscientious dissenters. So therefore, if the Supreme Court has struck it down, it's a welcome decision.
If there is a certain amount of news that will circulate on the social media, nobody should take offense. Now, if you have a political vendetta against some people and using this section, 66A of the Right to Information Act, they have been penalized according to law. This was unjustified. We have been demanding correction of this, and I'm glad a correction has come by the Supreme Court.
देखिए, सोशल मीडिया चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं कि उसमें कुछ अच्छे पहलू भी है, लेकिन सोशल मीडिया का मिसयूज बहुत हो रहा है हमारे देश में. उसके रोकने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ पुलिस के हाथ में कानून का एक सेक्शन तो चाहिए।
नहीं, वो गलत किया है। यहाँ न आजादी का मतलब गाली गलौज नहीं है, आजादी का मतलब कैरेक्टर असैसिनेशन नहीं है। क्यों नहीं होगा वो एक्ट? जिस तरह से लोग गाली गलौज कर रहे हैं उस पर, जिस तरह अभद्रता का डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन हो रहा है।
All right, that's of course what the politician said. But let's speak to cyber expert Monique May, who's in fact joining us in studio this evening. Monique, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, this is a landmark judgment. We're all happy about it. But give us a sense really with the PIL filed in 2012, the first one against the section. Were you surprised at the way, the Supreme Court reacted, how quickly it has happened?
We welcome the decision of the Supreme Court. It's a good news for a common internet user who was having a fear of posting anything on the social media that it might land him into the jail. So it's a victory of a common user, but it's to a certain limit. It doesn't mean that you can defame anybody, you can abuse anybody. There are the certain IPC sections which can be used against you. Since you have to be in the limitations, there are the guidelines which needs to be posted on the social media platform, including the Facebook, Twitter, but it should not defame anybody. It should not be of a criminal offense. It should not be a national threat.
Yes.
But if you use within the limits, it's good. At least you should not have the fear that you would be landing in the jail, or might be you are posting anything, something. It is been in your favor, in your view, it is okay. In second person views, it is okay. But the third person view, that post is against him. But with this law, the internet user is secured.
It's interesting because, the Shiv Sena themselves said that, if somebody says something against the Supreme Court or any kind of court, then it's a contempt of court. But anybody says anything against politicians, and that can be taken, you have to take it with a, pinch of salt. But just give us a sense really about the IT Act in itself, because Ravi Shankar Prasad himself, saying, welcoming this judgment, but at the same time also saying that there needs to be a relook into the IT Act itself.
See, the strictness of this act has been brought down, but on the other hand, these all are included in the other IPC acts. For example, the defamation, the other postings that can be taken care by the other IPC acts.
Yes, absolutely. Since being a cyber expert, this of course being a landmark judgment really for the IT Act it's as well, social media as well. But as far as cyber laws is concerned, what do you say? Is this a very, very big step forward for cyber laws?
It's a very big step. At least there is no fear in the common internet user.
All right. All right, Monique May, thanks so much for joining us, giving us your perspective really on what exactly is, India expecting in years to come as far as cyber laws is concerned. A big step here by the Supreme Court. You can, of course, write into us on Twitter and Facebook as well, on Rajya Sabha TV, on your reactions. But now let's head on to the big political story. The BJP is not happy with some of the tweets made by Minister of State for External Affairs General VK Singh yesterday after he attended a reception by Pakistan High Commissioner Abdul Basit in Delhi. The opposition has also hit out at the government on the issue. There is speculation that Singh has offered to resign over the controversy. All right, so this of course coming in a day after a lot of speculation, a lot of, as expected of course, social media going abuzz with this, on Twitter as well. One of the trending topics there on what really was this stand of General VK Singh. Is it double speak really as far as he is concerned? On one hand, he is of course a minister, has to represent the country, but on the other hand, he is of course questioning his role as well. There's already been a buzz about the fact that he should be resigning. But at the moment, what we're learning is sources, of course, saying that maybe he has offered to resign over the controversy. We are learning there is a big, the top leadership of the BJP is in fact meeting in the capital. So we are trying to track developments on that front as well. All right, Shyam Sundar, our correspondent, in fact, tracking those developments, joining us on the phone line. Shyam, what are you hearing?
Well, we are at 7 RCR, Prime Minister's residence, and the top leadership of BJP and government is present here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP President Amit Shah, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, Home Minister Rajnath Singh, and Foreign Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. And there is speculation that government is not very happy the way General VK Singh reacted on his joining Pakistan Day in Pakistani High Commission, and the way he manifested his feelings on social media. So high-level meeting is going on. Though we have information that General V.K. Singh has denied that he has offered to resign, but he is going to talk to media very soon, and then things will be clear whether he has offered to resign or not. But it is very, very clear that government is not very happy, and it was an embarrassment for the government, because recently Narendra Modi said that the talks are necessary between two countries to resolve all the issues vis-a-vis India and Pakistan. And we know that there is a background when Pakistan High Commissioner in the past met Hurriyat leaders. That time talks were cancelled, but this time government seemed determined to go ahead with the talks. But General V.K. Singh has made things difficult for BJP and the government. And we have seen the way Sujata Singh was removed from Foreign Secretary's position, and there are speculations that PM Modi especially is not very happy with General V.K. Singh's position.
All right, a crucial meeting on there. We'll come back to you for more details from that. Thanks so much, Shamdin Sundar, for joining us for the moment. Meanwhile, heading on with more news, Rajya Sabha Chairman Hamid Ansari admitted a motion to initiate the impeachment process of Justice S.K. Ganguly of the MP High Court. In fact, Justice S.K. Ganguly faces accusations of sexually harassing a former woman additional district and sessions judge. 58 Rajya Sabha members submitted the motion to the chair earlier this month. They include Congress's Digvijay Singh, CPM Sitaram Yechuri, TMC's Derek O'Brien, Samajwadi Party's Ram Gopal Yadav and Jaya Bachchan, and other leaders like Satish Mishra, Anu Aga and H.K. Dua. Posted in the Gwalior bench, Justice Ganguly is now serving in the principal bench in Jabalpur. A delegation led by China's State Councillor Yang Jiechi met Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier today. This came on a day after the two nations agreed to maintain peace and tranquility along their Himalayan border while they work on resolving a long-festering boundary dispute.
China's State Councillor Yang Jiechi and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval concluded the 18th round of border talks to resolve the long-festering boundary dispute. The talks are aimed at fixing a dispute over the border that divides Asia's largest nations, part of a push to make progress on the festering row before Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits China. China's Foreign Ministry released a statement stating that both nations will build on the results of previous negotiations and push forward in the correct direction. The talks are the first since Modi took office as Prime Minister. India is keen to resolve the dispute that has clouded rapidly expanding commercial links. Any progress is expected to throw a positive light on Modi's expected visit to Beijing in May. China claims over 90,000 square kilometers disputed by New Delhi in the eastern sector. India says China occupies 38,000 square kilometers of its territory on the Aksai Chin Plateau in the west as well. In September, the two armies faced off in the Ladakh sector just as Chinese President Xi Jinping was visiting India for the first summit talks with Modi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the funeral ceremony of Singapore's first Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew on the 29th of March. 91-year-old Lee died of severe pneumonia on Monday. Following his death, Modi had expressed deep condolences, calling Lee as a far-sighted statesman and a lion among leaders. Now let's get you more national news and updates in Nationwide. The Indian Railways Catering and Tourism Corporation today launched a debit card service, RuPay, in Delhi. Railways passengers can now book their tickets, do shopping and pay service bills with those prepaid cards. The cards can be bought from the Union Bank of India offices or through IRCTC online. The Congress protests against land bill in Punjab turned violent in Chandigarh today, with activists clashing with state police. The party had organized a march to the Punjab Assembly to oppose the bill. The police used water cannons to control protesters who stormed barricades. Many protesters, including senior party leaders, were taken into custody. The Supreme Court on Tuesday reserved the verdict on a batch of petitions challenging the constitutional amendment and enabling the law to replace the collegium system for appointment of judges. The Apex Court is hearing matters to decide whether the petitions were maintainable or not. The Indian Navy added 3 immediate support vessels to its squad to enhance coastal security. The vessels T-38, 39 and 40 are part of the 84th Immediate Support Vessel Squadron and were commissioned in Visakhapatnam. They are designed to carry out surveillance for long hours. A quick break here. Up next, we're getting you international news.
What special report on conquering tuberculosis? Search for a wonder weapon tonight at 10:30 p.m. only on Rajya television.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get you some international news now. In another disaster involving an Airbus A320, a German Wings airline crashed near a ski resort in the French Alps, killing all 150 people on board. French officials said there are no survivors. President François Hollande said that they are still investigating the cause of the accident. Germany and Spain too have set up crisis centers to deal with the incident.
One of the worst plane disasters in France in 4 decades. A German Wings Airbus A320 crashed in the foothills of Alps, leaving not even a single survivor. All 150 on board were feared dead.
Probable qu'il y ait bon nombre de victimes allemandes et bien sûr avec le roi d'Espagne qui nous rend visite aujourd'hui. C'est une tragédie, une nouvelle tragédie aérienne. Nous aurons aussi à connaître toutes les causes de ce qui s'est produit.
French officials said that the plane made a distress call at around 10:30 in the morning. Search and rescue teams were rushed to the crash site. Germany and Spain have already set up a crisis center to deal with the situation. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the country was deeply shaken by the crash. The jet belongs to the German airline German Wings, a low-cost airline owned by Lufthansa.
Heute leider mitteilen, dass heute um 11:20 Uhr im Departement Alpes-de-Haute-Provence in Südfrankreich der German Wings Flug for You 9525 auf dem Weg von Barcelona nach Düsseldorf verunglückt ist. Bei dem Flugzeug handelt es sich um einen Airbus A320.
Wir sind hier alle zutiefst erschüttert und bestürzt. Das Flugzeug unserer Tochter Germanwings ist gegen 11 Uhr Ortszeit über den französischen Alpen verunglückt.
The plane crashed in the mountainous terrain near the Prats-Hoite-Bleon community that is difficult to access. Security officials said it's very snowy now and the weather is worsening, which could complicate the search and rescue efforts. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, amid tense relations between the White House and Israel, reports have emerged of the Netanyahu government spying on the US-Iran nuke talks in order to build a case against the deal. Although Israel has denied the charges, the espionage allegations are just the latest in a series of incidents that have damaged the Netanyahu government's relationship with the White House.
In a development bound to strike a blow to the US-Israel relationship, a Wall Street Journal report said White House officials suspect Israel of spying on their talks with other world powers to put a lid on Iran's nuclear program. The newspaper said Israel spied on the P5+1 nuclear negotiations with Iran to build a case against a nuclear deal. The report says Israel angered the Obama administration by using the information obtained from its espionage efforts to drum up opposition to a nuclear deal among US lawmakers. Israel, however, denied the report, claiming the state of Israel doesn't conduct espionage against the United States or Israel's other allies. The White House insists it won't accept a bad deal in Iran nuclear talks, even as Britain says alternatives to striking a deal with Iran were not attractive.
The United States will continue to do everything in our power to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. In the coming days, our P5+1 negotiators will continue to meet with Iran's representatives to see if we can bridge the remaining gaps and come to an understanding that will peacefully and verifiably resolve the international community's deep concerns with Iran's nuclear program. And as we've said all along, we will not accept a bad deal.
We should not do a deal at any price, but I do think the alternatives to doing a deal are not alternatives that are attractive, and frankly they're not attractive for Iran. The sanctions that we put in place, and Britain led the charge in Europe, has done such damage to Iran that it's in their interest to conclude a deal.
The US, UK, France, Germany, Russia and China are reconvening negotiations this week to try to break the deadlock over Tehran's atomic research program and lifting sanctions before a 31st of March deadline. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has been vehemently opposed to a deal. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some quick updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Tunisia's Bardo Museum will now be reopened only on Sunday. Reports suggest that security concerns appear to have halted the reopening today. The museum was closed a week before after a terror strike killed 20 people. There is still a looming threat from the Islamic State for further attacks. At least 9 Pakistani Taliban militants were killed in a US drone strike at Afghanistan's Nangarhar province near the border with Pakistan. Reports suggest the CIA-operated unmanned aerial vehicle targeted a suspected militant hideout with 2 missiles, completely destroying the compound. Several people were also wounded in the strike. A blizzard hit the midwestern US on Monday, causing traffic snarls and delays. Few parts of the city had over 15 centimeters thick snow. Visibility level dropped to less than 1,000 meters. Over 700 flights were cancelled or delayed. Commuter trains were also temporarily stopped due to the heavy snow. Several accidents were reported on local highways. Cricket now, and New Zealand are through to the finals of the Cricket World Cup. In the first semi-final match that went right down to the wire, they defeated South Africa by 4 wickets and just 1 ball to spare. New Zealand will now face the winner of the second semi-final between India and Australia that will be played on Thursday.
Game on, Dooley. It's another short one. It's in the same spot.
Needing 12 to win off 6 balls, veteran Daniel Vittori squeezed a 4 past third man. The pair ran a bye and Elliott hitting the winning 6 over long on to secure New Zealand's first semi-final victory in 7 attempts. Eden Park broke into wild celebrations.
He'll get the headlines tomorrow, and
the win carries the Kiwis into a Cricket World Cup final for the first time, ending a run of defeats in its previous semi-finals. Earlier opting to bat first, South Africa notched 281 for 5, but the target was revised under the Duckworth-Lewis method after 7 overs each were deducted per side after a 2-hour rain interruption.
tell you, Warnie, I've really enjoyed the last half an hour of cricket here.
De Villiers.
Skipper A.B. de Villiers and Plessers had set South Africa towards a big total, taking their stand past 100. De Villiers made an unbeaten 65 off 45 balls, while Plessers top scored with a 107 ball 82. But it was Miller's innings that gave Proteas the much-needed impetus towards the end.
Long and straight.
Chasing a challenging revised total of 298 from 43 overs to win due to rain interruption, the Black Caps got a blazing start from skipper Brendan McCullum. McCullum set the vigorous tempo of the New Zealand chase with an innings of 59 from 26 balls, which contained 8 fours and 4 sixes.
McCullum in 22 deliveries.
Then came a valuable 103-run partnership between Elliott and Anderson, and New Zealand appeared to have the game in hand with 6 overs to go. But Moni Mokel regained the initiative for South Africa by taking a wicket and conceding only 1 run in the 38th over. And by the start of the 43rd and final over, New Zealand required 12 to win.
For the fans and the 4 million people in New Zealand, I think, the supporters, that wins for them. The support has been overwhelming, and I think there's been a lot of talk about us just making the semis and never quite kicking on. So I know it means a lot to the team, but you could see the emotions in the stands today. It means a lot to a lot of people in New Zealand. So hopefully we can repay the faith in the final as well.
All right, now we're getting some news from the capital. General VK Singh giving a press conference. Let's listen in.
दूसरों को ना हो। मैं पार्टी का एक मेंबर हूं, पार्टी के ऊपर विश्वास रखता हूं, और जो हमारी आज की सरकार है उसके अंदर नहीं आता अगर मेरी ये धारणा नहीं होती। पाकिस्तान डे की अटेंडेंस जो है, जो वहां पर मौजूदगी थी पाकिस्तान हाई कमीशन दिल्ली में, ये एक ऐसा प्रोटोकॉल है, एक ऐसा कार्य है जो हर मिनिस्टर स्टेट को जो एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स में आते हैं, हमारी सरकार के अंदर ये पहले भी करते रहे हैं, आगे भी करते रहेंगे। इस सेलिब्रेशन के दौरान, इस अटेंडेंस के दौरान कुछ नया नहीं था। मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट आज तक जाते रहे हैं और अलगाववादी सालों साल से इस फंक्शन में आते रहे हैं। इस बार सिर्फ एक फर्क था, वो था ऑप्टिक्स का, एक दृश्य का, क्योंकि अब की बार एक पुराना चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ इस फंक्शन को अटेंड कर रहा था, लेकिन लोग बाग इस चीज के अंदर ये भूल गए कि वो पुराना चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ मौजूदा सरकार का एक मंत्री भी है। मैं जब फंक्शन के बाद बाहर आया तो मैंने देखा कि मीडिया इस चीज को एक अलग तरीके से दिखा रहा है, बल्कि उन्होंने ये कहने की कोशिश की कि मैं और मेरी राष्ट्रवादिता के ऊपर शक है। यहां तक कहा गया कि इसके कारण हमारी सेना का मोराल नीचे होगा। एक पुराना सीओएस होने के नाते मैं अपने जवानों को सबसे ज्यादा बेहतर समझता हूं। जहां तक पार्टी और सरकार का सवाल है, वो इस कार्य को भली भांति समझते थे, परंतु मीडिया फिर भी इसको एक गलत तरीके से बयान में लाता गया। मेरा जो ट्वीट था ड्यूटी और डिसगस्ट के ऊपर, जो कि एक डिक्शनरी के अंदर से डेफिनेशन निकालकर ट्वीट के अंदर रखी गई थी, वो इसीलिए था कि मैं कुछ चीजें बता सकूं, लेकिन मुझे आश्चर्य हुआ जब इस चीज को तोड़ मरोड़ कर एक अलग रूप देने की कोशिश की गई। मैं इस चीज से बहुत हताश हूं कि मीडिया ने हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री पर, हमारी सरकार पर और हमारे ऊपर और हमारी राष्ट्रवादिता के ऊपर शक किया। जरूरी है कि इस चीज के बारे में सफाई दी जाए। जहां तक ट्वीट का सवाल है, दो चीजें थी। पहला था ड्यूटी के बारे में, जिसमें साफ डेफिनेशन से दिखाने की कोशिश की थी कि एक सिपाही के लिए और एक अनुशासनात्मक पार्टी के लिए ड्यूटी का मतलब क्या होता है। दूसरा ट्वीट था डिसगस्ट, जिसकी डेफिनेशन दी गई थी, और ये उन सब मीडिया के लोगों के लिए था जो इस चीज को एक अलग ढंग से तोड़ मरोड़ कर राई का पहाड़ बनाकर पेश कर रहे थे। इसके अंदर, ट्वीट के अंदर यह नहीं कहा गया कि इसमें मेरा कोई इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, सिर्फ परिभाषा दी गई इन दोनों शब्दों की। लेकिन देखकर आश्चर्य होता है कि आज भी कई चैनल्स के ऊपर कई अपने आप को विद्वान समझने वाले मीडिया कर्मी इन चीजों को एक अलग तरीके से अपने हिसाब से दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। इस चीज को समझिए कि जहां तक मेरा सवाल है, मैं अपने पार्टी के दायित्वों के प्रति पूरे तरह से समर्पित हूं।
All right, so General V.K. Singh there conveniently blaming the entire controversy on the media, saying that he was, of course, tweeting about his duty. However, it was the media who turned those tweets into disgust, and that is what he was tweeting about. This, of course, is going to be one of the top stories that we're going to be tracking on Rajya Sabha TV. Remember, there was a BJP meeting that had taken place on this, but then he has now come out in the media and has now quashed all reports of him offering to resign. That's it on the moment, though, on the news tonight. News continues after a while. Do stay with us.
Thank you.